want this to be a reincarnation of Chris Rock and Will Smith. And let me state for the record that while we bring up that, let me assure you it wouldn't have gone down like that. I would have gotten my ass kicked because had that man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on him.
Is the man retarded?
Immediately.
Clean up that cut more. Raise him up. Yeah, make it more free. Yeah, push.
Didn't want to make this video, but I felt like I really didn't have no choice at this point. But looking at the situation right now between LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith, yes, it has dialed down at this point of time. But just looking back at it all, it makes you really look at the bigger picture. If you've been really watching basketball for a long time, then you already know now, especially in this generation, that the media and players are not really on the same side. Even looking at older NBA players who have played in previous eras, not many of them are on the side of the current NBA players. And looking at the media today, it is really all about the narrative. And really the same could be said for this whole LeBron and Stephen A. Smith fiasco. This event really has nothing to fully do for LeBron and his way of gaining more clout, because LeBron is already one of the biggest names in sports and in media, period. When it comes to Stephen A. Smith, on the other hand, this is all part of a bigger plan to put all of the image and noise on him. LeBron confronted Stephen A. Smith. That situation was more personal. He even said himself that when LeBron came up to him, said what he said, that was a father coming up to him. That wasn't LeBron James, the basketball player. That was a father who was looking out for his son. And that was a very valid point. And the reality is, after that situation, it really could have been left alone. And Stephen A. Smith saying that he doesn't have to address it, but then the next day actually address it. Come on, man. At the same time, you already know that people are going to be recording. People are going to be seeing what happened, and there were going to be many questions. But what does that do? That is what is the narrative about, is putting the attention and the eyes on him. People were naturally curious. They were going to want to hear what someone's insight is on the situation that happened. And Stephen A., quite frankly, being the biggest, most polarizing person in ESPN as far as being a media analyst, really the biggest in the entire world. The man literally signed a $100 million contract with ESPN, and that's getting paid well more than NBA players, WNBA players, hate to say that, but truth is truth, and many more. Reality is that he has a platform and he has a voice. Everything that happened, really mainly another factor that played a role, and this just getting even bigger, of course, was when clips came out of him talking to Richard Jefferson about the situation. And then Stephen A. Smith just proceeded to go on like a world tour with it, going on TV shows, talking about it. I seen it where he went on Gilbert Arenas' podcast and he talked about it with all of them. Of course, hearing him say that he would have swung on LeBron if he confronted him, knowing he wouldn't have done absolutely nothing, especially with that weak, freaking, just ugly right hook of his. It really just kind of was getting lower and lower, making him look like the guy that was not really winning. Because if you have to over-explain yourself and tell people every single thing, your side, yes, it's giving him all this attention and buzz. At the same time, it's making you look weak. LeBron makes that calculated move on going on Stephen A. Smith's biggest competition on the ESPN network, Pat McAfee's show, which is more of a show that is more modern in its approach and open in comparison to this traditional format of a show like Stephen A. Smith's. He goes on there and he really talks and goes in on everybody. And of course, he talks about Stephen A. Smith as well. Stephen A. Smith came on First Take that next day, and we all know that he really just went in. He kept saying stuff about LeBron. He was saying even how he even brought up the fact that LeBron was not the greatest player of all time and that he still had to compete with other guys like Jordan, he brought up Kareem, he brought up so many other players. And to make it even worse, he brought up the fact that he wasn't at Kobe Bryant's memorial. And we all know that the effect and impact that Kobe had in LeBron, and the meaning, especially that year that the Lakers won that championship when Kobe died, and just the immediate effect that it had, period, on everybody during that time for that Lakers team and franchise and players around the NBA and the world. Say something like that is very, very low. And it doesn't help either at the fact that he basically came on First Take after Bronny had a 17-point game and really showing the work he's put in all year long, and saying that he takes back the comments that he says about him and him not really being ready for the NBA. It just comes off really, really weak and just not authentic at all. At the end of the day, you got to really hold yourself accountable, and when you're wrong, just say that you're wrong. I'll be the first to say that, yes, I had my own doubts about Bronny and him coming into the NBA the way he did, and the pressure that he did have on him. I would be the first to say that as well too, that it would be a lot. But at the same time, we have to be realistic with our expectations and understanding that the guy is, at the end of the day, a second-round pick, and he has a lot of growth and development still to accomplish. I can understand the perspective, especially for LeBron and that being his son, but not only that, his teammate, and him being, quite frankly, the face of the NBA still today. It's just really funny seeing LeBron finally come out and like actually troll people and talk about that situation and post funny things on Instagram about it, going on Pat McAfee's show and saying the things that he said about Stephen A. Smith and just the NBA media, period. That's how you really kind of know that LeBron's career eventually will be coming down to the end, but he hasn't really said anything to anybody about this stuff over his course of his entire NBA career. But it's good now to finally hear some things that has been on his mind for a long time. And you know, it's kind of funny too, because the other day when they played the Memphis Grizzlies, he even gave dap to Nick Wright, a guy who's always praised him and actually has shown him love throughout his entire career as an analyst, claiming that LeBron is obviously one of the greatest players to ever play this game. At the end of the day, Bronny is a young player who has quite a chip on his shoulder, but he's putting in the work and he's trying to become the best player that he can. And all this noise from the outside, you know, it really doesn't matter for him. At the end of the day, what matters for him is just being the best basketball player that he can possibly be. People like Stephen A. Smith and NBA media are always going to create narratives about players and say things that necessarily aren't true. Bronny, at the end of the day, is LeBron's son, so the pressure, the noise, everything is going to be on him. But this just shows you how much the significant impact that LeBron literally has on the league, that we're talking about his son who was drafted in the second round. Yes, granted, LeBron said things like his son is better than some of the players in the NBA today, and this and that. But at the end of the day, we all still have to realize where he's at in his development right now. And Stephen A. Smith hasn't always said cruel or really bad things about Bronny, and he more so, of course, shifted the blame on LeBron for putting all this unnecessary pressure on his son, which is understandable to say. But at the end of the day, some things are just worth not actually being addressed. If you guys enjoyed this brief video today, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.